The car market looked unstoppable until now. Let's talk about it. Welcome back, everybody. It's me here. I am so excited to bring this episode to you because we've been anticipating it for a long time. For years now, we've seen the new car market grow and grow and grow. In fact, it's grown so much that many people are calling the current conditions a bubble. And I even made a video about that not too long ago. The used car market was growing at such a rapid pace that it became a media sensation. Everyone from CNN to CNBC was talking about how used cars were getting more expensive than new cars and what that meant for the economy. And of course, that was all thanks to supply chain shortages, but things have started to shift. And after 2 years of record-breaking sales, both new and used car prices have begun to fall. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about in today's episode. If you like this kind of content, hit the thumbs up button. It tells the algorithm that you love this kind of content, and it makes sure that more people see it. If you haven't already done so, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. And if you have any thoughts or opinions on this, please let me know in the comments down below. Alright, let's dive right in. It is no secret that the automotive industry has been suffering ever since the pandemic began. Ever since the health crisis began, semiconductor shortages have led to production slowdowns and inventory shortages. Those inventory shortages led to higher prices. Higher prices led to customers paying more for their vehicles and waiting longer for them to arrive. And then when you add high demand and low supply, you get even higher prices. For example, take my dad who ordered a Volkswagen Atlas in December. He was told by the dealership that it would be available in April, so he paid his $2,500 deposit. Well, the day finally came and he went to pick up his vehicle only to find out that the dealership had sold his vehicle and they wouldn't be able to get him another one until July. They did offer him another vehicle, though, but it was $10,000 over MSRP. Of course, he turned that down and asked for his money back. But needless to say, he is still looking for an Atlas, and he lines probably end up paying over MSRP just to get one. On top of that, with fewer cars being built, the ones that were built were sitting on lots unsold for longer, which led to more depreciation. Normally, a new car loses around 11% of its value in the first year and 63% of its value in 5 years. But in 2021, a new car lost an average of 30% of its value in the first year and will likely lose 81% of its value in 5 years. And that's according to Cox Automotive. And while that may be good news for buyers, it's not good news for sellers. Especially private sellers who are trying to sell their own cars because those people aren't having to follow the same rules as dealerships are. For example, let's say a dealership paid $40,000 for a car, drove it around for a few days, put a couple thousand miles on it, and then tried to sell it for $50,000. If someone bought that vehicle from the dealership, they would be getting it for 25% over MSRP, but if they bought it from a private seller, they would be getting it for 20% over MSRP. That's a huge difference, especially considering the dealership is a business and can afford to sit on the car for longer than a private seller can. That's why there has been a push in recent months for people to sell their cars to dealerships instead of private party buyers because dealers could hold on to the cars for longer and wait for the market to correct itself, which it has. Now, I want to switch gears here and talk about the current state of the market. Recently, a study showed that the average transaction price for a new car fell for the first time since January 2021. In fact, the average transaction price for a new car fell from $47,199 in March to $46,822 in April. That's a decrease of $377 or 0.8%. On top of that, used car prices also fell for the second month in a row, with the average price falling from $27,800 $848 in March to $26,868 in April. That's a decrease of $980 or 3.6%. Now, that might not sound like much, but it's really actually quite a bit. The first decline we saw in prices was in March when the average price of a new car fell by 1% and the average price of a used car fell by 6%. The second decline we saw was in April when the average price of a new car fell by 0.8% and the average price of a used car fell by 6%. That means that prices are falling at an accelerating rate, which is great news for buyers. In addition to that, the number of used cars for sale has increased by 67% compared to last year. That's a big deal because it shows that people are beginning to feel more comfortable selling their cars again. After all, if you were planning on selling your car for $20,000 and prices began to fall to $15,000, you'd probably start to worrying that prices would continue to fall. And if you were planning on buying a car for $15,000, you would probably start to wonder if you should wait a few more months to see if prices would fall further. That uncertainty is causing more people to hang on to their cars. And with more people holding on to their cars, there are more cars on the market for everyone else to choose from. This is all happening because chip shortages are finally beginning to ease up. Production numbers are increasing and inventories are beginning to return to normal. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like things will completely normalize anytime soon. But as long as things continue to trend in the right direction, we could be seeing prices return to normal within the next year or so. And that's great news for buyers, but it's not great news for sellers. According to Cox Automotive, used car prices are expected to fall another 10 to 20% this year and another 20 to 35% next year. That means that if you paid $30 for a used car in 2021, you might only be able to sell it for $21,000 in 2022 and only $14,000 in 2023. That's a huge difference. So what does that mean for you? Well, if you're thinking about buying a car, this is great news. You're gonna not be able to get a better deal on a car than you would have been able to get just a year ago. In fact, I would argue that now is probably the best time to buy a car since 2020. If you're planning on buying a new car, I would suggest waiting until the end of the year when manufacturers are trying to clear out their old inventory to make room for their new inventory. And if you're planning on buying a used car, I would suggest buying one that's at least 3 years old. That way you can get one that's out of the worst of the price drop. Now, if you're thinking about selling your car, this is bad news. You're not going to be able to get the price that you were hoping for, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't sell it. After all, prices are only going to continue to fall. So if you want to get ahead of the curve, I would suggest selling your car sooner rather than later. With that said, there are some things that you can do to get the best price possible for your car. First, make sure that your car is in good condition and has a clean history report. Second, take high-quality pictures of your car from multiple angles. Third, write a detailed description of your car, including all of its features and options. Fourth, set the right price for your car. You can use sites like Kelley Blue Book or Edmunds to get an idea of what your car is worth. Fifth, be patient and persistent. It may take some time to find the right beer for your car, but don't give up. There are buyers out there looking for cars just like yours, and they're willing to pay fair prices for them. Alright, that's it for today's episode. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments down below. Don't forget to check out my other content. And with that said, I'll see you guys in the next one.